to know. Oh, yeah, we need to show. Listen, watch, and flow. You need to.
I need to know, I need to know, I need to know. You need to know, you need to know, you need to know. We all need to know. What do you need to know? What do I need to know? What do we all need to know? Today, by the special grace of God, we are going to be looking at the book of James, chapter 2, verse 24. James 2, 24. The book of James, chapter 2, verse 24. What is the interpretation? What is the meaning? What is the historical context? What is the literary concept? What is the significant meaning? What is the key words that we need to look and other things? So Bible says in the book of James, chapter 2, verse 24, says, Ye see, then how that by works a man is justified, and not by faith alone. Don't forget, read it to understand, not just for reading alone. So what is the meaning of that verse? It says, you see, or ye see then, how that by works a man is not justified, and not by faith alone. So what is the historical context? Author, we know that the James is the one that wrote the book of James, the brother of Jesus and leader of the Jerusalem church. James is the brother of Jesus and is the one that was leading the Jerusalem church. So the audience wrote a letter to the Jewish Christians scattered among nations. When you study the book of James chapter 1, verse 1, the letter was written to all the Jews, Christians that have scattered all over the nation. So what is the purpose of this letter? To correct misunderstanding. James wrote this letter to correct misunderstandings of faith. Some were claiming to have faith without showing it through obedience or love in action. They have faith, they said they have faith, but they are not showing it through obedience and love action. So what is the literary context? James chapter 2, verse 14 to 26 says it addresses, that place addresses the relationship between faith and works. He made us to understand the relationship, the similarity, how they work hand in hand, faith and works. James contracts is about dead faith, which is the faith without works. Says your faith without work is dead. Likewise, the living faith, that is faith that produces works. Faith that produces works. So he uses Abraham. James used Abraham in verse 21 to 23 and Rahab in verse 25 as an example of faith that acts, faith that obeys. So what are the key words that you need to understand for you to be able to interpret this verse very well? Justify. Justify. In Greek word, the word justify means the cows, the cow, the cow. So to declare, the meaning is to declare righteous or demonstrate as righteous. To declare righteous or demonstrate as righteous. In James, the emphasis, in the book of James, the emphasis is proof or obedience of righteousness. That is not the initial declaration of salvation as in Paul. So faith means pistis. Faith means pistis. What is the meaning? Truth, that is trust or believe in God. Trust or believe in God. But here it refers to a faith that is genuine. You can say you believe in God, but you don't trust God. So not just intellectual agreement. So it talks about works again. It talks about work. Work means aga. Means deeds or action. Works means your deed, your actions that flow from genuine faith that you say you have, especially acting and obeying and mercy. You act, you obey, and have mercy as well as love. What is the meaning of this verse? What is the meaning of this verse? James argues. James was arguing that a person is shown or to demonstrate. A person is demonstrated to be righteous not by faith alone. That is, you have faith, but you are not demonstrating it. You say you have faith, but where is the action? Mere intellectual belief, but by faith express your works. That is, let people see your works. You have faith, what is the expression? You have faith, what are you doing with your faith? You say you have land, but what are you doing with your land? You need to plant, you need to plow, you need to do all sorts of things that take care. So your action express the faith. Faith, nobody can see the faith, but your action, people can see your action. So that's what James is saying. So James is not contradicting Paul, as some people will be saying. James is not contradicting Paul in the book of Romans chapter 3 verse 28 or the book of Galatians chapter 2 verse 16. Paul speaks of initial justification before God, that is saved by faith apart from works of the law. So we are saved by our faith, not by our works. But James is telling you that now you already have faith. Show it with love. Express it in obedience. So why James speaks of justification before men, faith proving genuine through action. So what is the theological significance of this verse? It talks about faith and works are inseparable. That is, through faith, inevitable produces obedience, according to the book of Ephesians chapter 2 verse 8 to 10. So living faith, that is living faith versus dead faith. Faith without works is useless. You say you have faith, but you are not doing anything. So it's useless, according to the book of James chapter 2 verse 17. Harmony with Paul. So they are not contradicting each other. They have harmony. That is Paul emphasizing salvation by faith alone. Salvation is by faith alone. Doesn't need any addition. James emphasizing that genuine faith is never alone. It bears fruit. You have salvation is by your faith. But now after you have been saved, the faith that you now need now is to help others, is to put it into action, to go and do the gospel and other things. So Christ-centered obedience. Christ-centered obedience works do not earn salvation, but real Christian life in the believer, according to the book of John 15:5. Works do not earn salvation. Because I work, because I pray, because I fast, that's why I'm saved. No. But real Christ life is in believer. So what is the interpretation? The common interpretation here is that contradiction with Paul? No. Some claim James contradicts Paul's teaching of justification by faith. No. But James is addressing counterfeit faith, where Paul addresses legalism. Salvation by works. Other misinterpret James as teaching that good deed save. No, it's not saying that. In reality, James says works are the proof of true faith. Your works, your action is now letting people know that you truly have faith, not the cause of salvation. Therefore, faith versus works competition. The Bible does not present faith and works as opposing forces, but to complement. As a complementary, faith is the root, works is the fruit. Faith is the root, works is the fruit. How do you now apply this verse today? Authenticity test, that is our lifestyle, that you say you have faith, should reflect our faith. Words alone are not enough. Oh, I love you, but what are you going to choose? Bible says, for God so loved the world, he gave. He have faith and he gave. He put action. So practical Christianity. Faith must be visible in act of love. Faith must be visible in act of love, in generosity and obedience. So when people want to know that you are faithful, you will see love, generosity and obedience. Likewise, avoid dead faith. That is intellectual belief without transformation is not saving faith. Live out the gospel. Live out the gospel, that is, the world sees our faith through our works. Therefore, James 12:24 teaches that faith is justified or proven genuine by works. Salvation is by faith alone, but through salvation, faith never remains alone. It produces obedience and good works, love. God bless you. God be with you. I believe you have learned one or two things about this verse. God bless you. Help us to share. Help us to like. and put your comment down. Shall be well with you in Jesus' mighty name. Shalom, shalom, and shalom.
You need to know, yeah, yeah. We all need to know, oh yeah. We need to show, listen, watch, and flow. You need to